Hey, this is Joel Oney at the J Money Studio in the heart of the Buckeye State. And I want to personally welcome you to today's episode of the Steel Kings podcast with my good friends Jared Ledford and Eric Olson, better known to you as the Steel Kings. Be sure to check out jmoneyllc.com for financing solutions for your buildings. And now, let's get back to the Steel Kings podcast.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Jared, and this is the Steel Kings podcast. Over there is Eric. We are back for another episode with you guys this week. Eric, brother, what's going on, man? How are you?
Happy Monday. It is June 9th at 2:15 p.m. We've got a lot on the books today, man. I'm doing pretty good. I am wore out. Yesterday, if I did an episode, I would not have a voice because I was screaming all weekend.
Yeah,
Not
brother.
screaming. I was raising my voice, I guess.
Yeah, you're staying busy, man. We're both staying busy, man. This is our first. This is episode 16 for those who are following along at home. If you're listening to us on YouTube or watching us on YouTube or listening to us on the audio feed, thank you for being part of this this journey that we're on. Like I said, episode 16 this week, and bro, it's getting into the summertime, man. Kids are home. I'm finding myself a little bit busier with them, trying to balance podcast life, metal building life, pole barns, sheds, soccer. Now you're fitting in like basketball camp, and I'm finding myself just dragging in the evening time. But I'll tell you, brother, I really love this time we get to spend together. Eric and I. So just so you guys know, Eric and I don't get to be in the same room all that often. We're both too dang busy. And we stay in our lanes, but like, bro, this is our time to just hang out and chill out with you guys. Eric, what are you up to, man? You had a busy weekend, man. Give us the lowdown.
I got married last year. I moved to Germantown, Ohio, which is a little quiet town off the beaten path, and I joined this little. I would call it community church, but it's really bigger than that. And kind of got plugged in there, and they're active. They are helping the community, like a lot of stuff. And I touched base with this guy named Brad Higgins, and he had a vision. And there's a metro park, not a metro park, but like a little town splash pad kind of a river thing down in downtown Miamisburg, Ohio. And they gave us the facilities for the weekend, and we rallied, I think, 5 or 6 nonprofits, and 12 churches all through this kind of, I'm just going to say, for lack of a better words, a party/revival down there all weekend. There was bounce houses, toys, people were evangelizing. There was food trucks. Chick-fil-A came, a bunch of little side businesses. And man, it was just an odd time of fellowship in the public. And so a lot of people just wandered over there because the strip of Miamisburg is so, we ran into a lot of people that just, you would never run into, in the 4 walls of a traditional church, I'd say. And man, it was good. I'm tired though. I ordered a ribeye steak at 10:30 p.m. I was slaving all day, and we ended up crashing out, and I ate super late, and I've been not feeling the best, but now it's time to get back to real life, man. It was an epic weekend. And looking forward to doing it next year. They already booked us. They said, come back, please. And which is a good thing. It's good. It's good for, you're in the city, you're involved with the city. And it's always important for the local churches to be connected to the city, because it's a good resource for people in need and different things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, I was just blown away by, I know you're planning on doing a standalone episode, so I'm not going to dig too deep into it, but I know that's kind of what motivates you, man. So doing the business, doing the business with us, doing the podcast with me, all of that's for the greater good of what you want to do, not just, in your church life, but in your community. And, I always do the shout out at the end of the episode, but I mean, that's really what you're all about, bro. And I love giving you that platform to kind of share that with the folks.
And expect this, I will be in Belize in July doing a youth camp, and so I'd love to do a quick 15-minute little, whether it's with you or solo. It'd be cool to be live from a different country. And
we definitely got to get you some content, brother, because I think sharing that with the folks is going to be good, man. Like I said, I'm just busy with soccer. I'm busy with soccer and trying to balance.
What's your daughters up to? That seems like every time I talk to you, you got literally like it's one thing. It's a soccer field. It's a school event. It's basketball. It's
bro,
you
this
went
is
to
like his,
wrestling. You went to
yeah, we went to WWE. So I took I've got a 11-year-old going to be 11 this year, and I got twins that are going to be 10. So there's only 13 months separating them. So really it's just triplets, right? I mean, it's like having 3 kids that are the same age, but they all like different stuff. They're starting to kind of, talk to boys. And my oldest just got a cell phone, like an actual cell phone, which has been kind of nerve wracking. But she's responsible with it, mainly just to check in with us, because she's walking. She likes to walk and she likes to get around the community. So I feel like, keep your phone on you. Make sure you call dad, FaceTime. It was funny. The first day she had it, she FaceTimed me from the school as she's walking to the library. And, I appreciated that. Technology is one of those things, like, we can get on this podcast and obviously talk to, dozens and hundreds of people at a time and all that. But, when it starts getting into like your kids, and, I remember when I got my first cell phone and it didn't do anything, I'm going to try to keep this down. And my oldest twin, Julie, is super into professional wrestling. She caught the bug from me. We've been to a couple shows the last year, went to SmackDown. So SmackDown came to town and took her and Daly with me. So I got Daly, the oldest, Julie and Sadie, the twins. And Sadie's my wild child. She's different, but she real mechanical with her hands, starting to get really hands-on with stuff. And I mean, she could probably fix anything that she breaks. She's always wanting to like tear stuff apart and like tinker.
That's a good thing.
So I mean, it's just one of those things. 3 totally different kids, 3 totally different personalities. Julie's doing soccer right now, so we're staying busy on weekends with that, and just trying to enjoy my time with them as they're getting older. I want to do one quick shout out. As always, this episode of the Steel Kings podcast is brought to you by our studio sponsor, J Money. Whether you sell steel buildings, sheds, windows, doors, or pools, J Money makes it easy to offer flexible financing to your customers, so you can close more deals without the hassle. Grow your business with payment solutions at jmoneyllc.com, and tell Joel and the team that we sent you, the Steel Kings. Brother, I want to talk a little bit about the steel tariffs. That's the topic for today. I know we talked about it briefly. I know we talked about it briefly in a previous episode, but looking at the newsreels, this is June 9th that we're recording. So you guys are going to get this towards the end of June, but steel tariffs took effect June the 4th. We kind of knew it was coming. We had talked about it, I think, back in April, something like that. We just touched on it briefly. And, I think we felt a little bit of hesitation and maybe thrown it out there as much as we are now, but I think it's really hitting the forefront. I mean, as somebody who is in the line of fire every day, like you and I, we're feeling it. Manufacturers are squeezing. You do a lot of sales. I mean, you are the top sales guy at Dayton Barnes. You're all over Facebook Marketplace. You're all over the place. What are you seeing right now, brother? Pricing buildings, talking to customers. What's your feeling?
I'm still having a ton of convos, but it's definitely a talking point. Not from a customer standpoint, but from a pricing standpoint. I think a lot of people, and let me just say this: the steel tariffs is just one of them. There's tariffs on everything. If you just do a quick Google search, I mean, solar panels, got their remove. There's not removal, but things are shifting on like a product basis.
Yeah.
And so there's other like semiconductors. There's tariffs on that now, and I think those are even higher than the steel ones. So I don't know if getting into the politics of it, but certainly people are shopping with caution because prices are a little different. So a lot of times people on Facebook are like, hey, my neighbor got a building, and they're going into it with this preconceived notion that it should be the same price. And so there's a little extra to overcome. And so I would say, I'm selling one today out of Oregon. I'm fortunate that the tariff hasn't affected that particular area of the United States, but certainly some of the suppliers are either removing their discounts or lowering them in response to it. It's got it's probably a good time to be diversifying what you're selling. And we're lucky to be in a couple different things. It's hard to put a tariff on a tree. So if you're buying something with wood, that's
if you're in the, I just want to say this too. If you're in the Ohio area, contact the guys at Country Cabins. If you're not selling wood sheds, I know that they're open to working with you. If you're working with steel manufacturers, right now is the time when you need to be looking across the board to maybe take a pivot. We're still super happy with our guys over at American Steel. They're still doing a great job for us, but they like everybody else, kind of cutting down on the discounts, giving us a little bit less leverage to work with. And, the difference between us and somebody sitting listening to the podcast, you have to be on the fly willing to adjust pricing. You have to be on the fly willing to eat into your commission levels, because you are going to get beat right now. There's always going to be somebody lower. I don't care what product you're selling, whether it's wood sheds, steel buildings, pole barns, the competition's never been tougher. And now with this, it's going to get even tougher. Cause we were talking sitting back in the end of March, and you and I were like, man, we're getting ready to get busy, and, taxes are coming in, and, we're starting to ramp up a little bit, like normal, but it's not at the level it's been the last couple of years. We're noticing it pretty significantly at this point.
One of our bigger suppliers, or one of our bigger partners, feel free to mention the name, but they've had a discount going for quite a while. And that's going away, which is kind of shuffling some things around. It's opening the door for some other things, maybe some people we haven't been using as recently. So it's good to be networked as well. So I think this is going to stretch us in a different way. But we woke up today, we've got plenty of orders coming through. We sold a ton of buildings last week, and and so we're fortunate to be pivoting. So if you're an individual seller or a small time, now it's time to, don't freak out. Just look around, get on some forums, call us, call Jared, call myself, and
email us. We got dedicated podcast emails now. So I'm Jared at thesteelkings.com. He's Eric at thesteelkings.com. We want to hear from you guys. If you guys got a cool story, if you guys are out and about, if you guys got a cool lot, give us a shout, man. We'd love to have you on the podcast. We are open to everybody. We welcome, competition is friendly. We're not going to be looking to take any of your leads or sell any of your buildings. There's plenty of buildings to be sold. I think right now what I'm seeing or what I'm feeling is that the cream is really going to rise to the top. You got to be better than your competition, not just on price. Because, buddy, right now they want to know that the building's coming, and they want to know when it's coming. And I think that's been the biggest struggle from a conversational standpoint. I've got several, project managers in here that are working leads all day. And that's the number one question I get. Like, hey, can I promise a lead time? And, most of the buildings are 4 weeks or less with a slight picture and a down payment. Most everybody that sells steel buildings knows that. But at the end of the day, like, we're competing against people out there that may not be given all the truth, maybe not, and again, I would challenge you, if you are struggling that way, you're never going to get beat with the truth. Because you'll feel good at the end of the day. If you lose the deal, at least you told the truth. And Eric and I have both been in situations where we've probably spoke out of turn. I don't want to act like this isn't a Dayton Barnes or a Jared or Eric problem. I've been in situations where I've made promises that I ended up not being able to keep because somebody didn't keep their promise to me.
Today, we have something truly groundbreaking to discuss. The Zula from Mobino Solar Solutions. This incredible shed ventilation system is set to redefine how we approach air circulation and energy efficiency, a shed ventilation marvel. With 3 robust fans generating 630 CFM, 2 fans usher in a breath of fresh air, while 1 strategically expels stillness. What's groundbreaking? It's solar powered. Harnessing the sun's energy, the Zula is a sustainable dream eliminating electricity costs. Sleek, powerful, and eco-friendly, this system is a game changer for those seeking efficient air circulation without compromising on green values. Visit Mobino's site for more of this innovative solar shed ventilation solution and use the ShedGeek10 for an extra 10% discount. Just visit www.mobinosolar.solutions.com.
And ultimately, that's really, you're only as good as the word of the person you're working alongside of. That's why I love working with Eric, because when Eric tells me something, I can write it down and it's gospel, right? But if you don't know these manufacturers that you're working with, if somebody cold called you one day and said, hey, we'd like you to sell metal buildings for us and we'll give you a higher dealer commission than what you're getting from your current supplier or manufacturer, it isn't always going to be like tall grass and tall cotton, right? I mean, it's going to be one of those things where you really need to do due diligence on what you're selling, believe in it. I love what I do here, so I don't struggle with it. When I tell a customer certain manufacturers are 12 weeks or less with a site picture, I don't blink my eyes twice. I know that if I'm going to talk to a customer, I give them what I tell them I'm going to, and if not, I'm going to stay in touch with them. We had one come up recently, Eric. I know you wanted to talk a little bit about this one. Had a deal on the table. I think it was out west, maybe Oregon. I think you've been really hot out in Washington, Oregon, places like that. We had a deal on the table and the customer was balking. He had a cheaper price, and get to looking at the contract, and the contract basically states like, hey, we can change the price anytime, anywhere, anyhow. Like there was so much verbiage in that contract. Tell me about that, man. Give them the
So I was thinking while you were talking, I think when 6 years ago, when the steel metal building game started exploding, I feel like the companies that were at the top, a bunch of people left those companies, started their own thing, and there were so many suppliers and so many people selling that it was a race to the bottom. What I can say now is it's going to be a race to trust, because a lot of people are not networked like we are. And a lot of companies are not networked because they put all their eggs in one basket. And when people get reeling and they're not righteous humans / companies, they will lie. And so a lot of things there's going to be more ripoffs now. I can tell you that right now for a fact, that people are gullible. They've never bought metal buildings before. If you're perhaps a customer, make sure you do your due diligence. Let me touch on what Jared just said. And I can't remember what the company name was. I want to say it. I don't remember though, and I don't want to missay it. I
describe it to me, and I'll decide if I want to share that.
Okay, so the company. So
the company, the name you were competing against.
Yes,
I can just tell you this. I've been doing this now.
Called out. I don't remember who it is, but I've been doing this
now. I've been doing this now for about 4 years with you, or so, right around that point. And I
read
can tell
these people like a book.
You have gotten a quote. Like if you're dealing in high volume metal building sales and you've gotten a competition quote, you've come up against these guys. And again, don't want to badmouth anyone in particular. I'm not going to share the name, but I will tell you this. If you're dealing with somebody who's got a significantly lower price than you, listen to what Eric's about to say, because it's going to be something to pay attention to.
This guy, this particular customer had committed, he got reeled in, he committed to a building price, got onto a contract with a company, and there was there was a couple parts, but the main part was that in asterisks. Okay, so for example, I remember back in the day when a company would sell you a building and they would want vertical siding, they would leave off the word vertical, and then after the person purchased the building, they would add vertical siding, would add like $1,600, and that's how people would sell the building to the customer cheaper. Is they'd hide a detail until after the signature on, and then they would hide behind this asterisk, it buried in their contract details that said, company has right to change the price at any given time. And so instead of saying, we're locking you in on this very project for 3 to 6 months or something like that, they would basically put in there that we can change the price, and then they would plan to screw you over. They would literally plan to add something later and then threaten never to give you your money back. I mean, this is exactly what the guy did. So the customer had this price, and I said, send me the contract. Let me look over it. And red flag after red flag after red flag. The number one thing was that after the guy bought it, they called him back and said it's going to be $2,300 more bucks or something, whatever the cost was extra. And I said, well, why would they do that? He said, well, I would have bought it from, because the guy got a quote from me before. And so he said, well, I bought it from you. And I said, well, why did you buy it from them? He said, well, you had a cheaper price. And I said, well, that didn't work out because what you signed was basically a variance. Like we can change the price anytime. And so what happened after that is exactly that. So the seller lied to the customer to get them to commit, and then change the game on them after the fact, and blame engineering. Engineering came back and said, this is what we need to add. And it was totally phony. I'm glad you said we're not going to rip the company a shed, but they've done that, man. And just,
yep.
It's so
they were the
heinous.
first company. They were the first company that I ever came up against a metal building quote on. And I remember calling. So like a tip of the day, and you guys are already doing this, but I mean, just for those of you that aren't, I call dealers all the time. You've probably talked to me, matter of fact. And it's not a matter of I'm trying to necessarily take the deal. I mean, I am trying to close the sale. Don't get me wrong. Like, that is absolutely why I'm trying to find the information. But like, if you're a dealer, your due diligence is to supply the customer with all of the information necessary to make a good and educated decision. If you call Dayton Barnes, we're going to tell you exactly who's manufacturing your building and what to expect when they come. We don't hide behind the cloak of, well, got to close you before I give you that info. I mean, just think about that. If you're sitting where we're sitting and you're working, selling metal buildings, if you were buying a metal building, wouldn't you want to know who was putting it up? Wouldn't you want to know the reputation of the people who are installing the building? We've talked about it before. I can't say it enough. The most important part of a metal building process from start to finish is the install crew. If you don't know anything about your install crews, you need to figure it out. Some of the most talented metal building salespeople that I've talked to, learned from, spent time with, they know exactly who the install crews are for the manufacturers they work with, and they're able to supply that information. And not only that, we've got install crews that we have their numbers. So that way, when the install crew gets there, we know when they're on site with our customers. We go get building pictures. We meet and greet with the customers. We go out of our way to make sure that that process is seamless, truly from start to finish. And I know you're sitting there thinking, well, Jared, Eric, I'm one guy sitting in the middle of nowhere, and I sell a couple buildings a month. I get that. We can't go to every site Eric's not going to Oregon, right? He sells a lot of buildings in Oregon. He's not going there. Now, he just went cross country from Dayton to Washington and back, and did stop at some customers' properties in Wyoming and Idaho. And that's a one-off. We know you're not going to be able to travel all over the country, but at the same time, do your due diligence, man. I can't tell you enough. Like, the quality of the industry will rise if everyone gets together and says, you know what, we have to be better. We want you to be better, and we want to help you with that. That's why we're on this podcast. And we talk and we talk and we talk about the same type of topics, because it's important to us and it should be important to you. And I'm not trying to tell you how to feel or think, and neither is Eric, but I think if you can hear insights from somebody who is doing it at a high level, and you might be doing it better than us, we might learn something from you. Very, very good possibility of that. But at the same time, I feel a calling on me. I know Eric does too. This podcast is meant to call you out and get you motivated to sell metal buildings. Eric, tell me a little bit more about that deal, because there was one specific thing about it, and if you don't touch on it, I'm going to. But go ahead. Is there anything else? I know I cut you off.
You got to refresh me. I pulled up the convo. I was trying to read through it, and
well, okay. So your customer was dealing with another dealer, and that dealer kind of, and I think that the sales rep, in all truthfulness, probably just doing what he was told. I don't think that he was being malicious or anything like that. He probably knew that was the policy, but at the same time, he wasn't necessarily being malicious. So I don't want to throw that out there. I will tell you, if you're not familiar with the state of Oregon, they need seismic and site specifics on almost every single building in Oregon. I think that's what it comes down to a lot, is that we do the due diligence up front. So all my guys know how Oregon works. We've got spreadsheets for pretty much every state that we service, Florida, Oregon, parts of Texas, New York State, New Jersey. There's a lot of a handful, maybe 2 handfuls of states that require random odds and ends. In Oregon, we always price site specifics and seismic because more often than not, you need it. And if you're buying a $30,000 building and you're not told that you're going to need $3,500 worth of blueprints, you're talking about a 10% difference in the price of the building. And most of those manufacturers need that cash, need that money for those site specifics up front. So we go out of our way to make sure that the customer knows, hey, you're not only going to be paying us, a few $1,000s down to secure your order, get it coming, get it on the way, but you're also going to have $3,500 ready for some sites.
So this company, okay, I'm reading the convo now. I've got to pull it up. Number one, they didn't offer the door size.
Yeah.
So the guy wanted a 14 wide roll-up door. We know everybody that goes to Oregon. There's not a 14-foot wide roll-up door. That doesn't exist unless you bought your own. And since the company, I knew who they were. I knew who they were using. The customer didn't know who they were using. I knew who they were using just based on the quote because the line items matched up with who we were going to use. And so the guy lied blatantly. It was the same company we was quoting, same exact building, different price. The guy was lying. You could tell.
Sold from a different dealer.
That sold from a different dealer. So I start to chat, and and I'm just reading the question. Now I got the quote. I'm pulling it up now. And it said, he won't tell me the manufacturer until I make the down payment. No, that's a huge red flag. You're not going to tell me who is going to put up my $20,000 building? Like, what kind of ridiculous crap is that?
That's a huge.
I want a sedan. Let me buy a sedan. I need a 4-door with AC, a Bluetooth, low miles. And they're like, yeah, I got something for you. Until you give me some cash, I'm not going to tell you the make and model. Like, you are an absolute idiot, turd. You're a turd nothing burger. If that's what you're doing, you're an idiot. Like, literally, this poor guy. Dear Roki, thank you for your interest in our metal building services. We have requested your quote. And then, oh, by the way, we're changing your price also. And okay, so a laughable point here is that if you act that way, you're going to get busted. Facts. And then you just make it easy on me, a person that's like, yeah, get most likely tomorrow. I just look back. Man, I'm just making me sick. He says this makes me sick. I'm sorry. We're gonna have to give some filler because there's a lot of combo. I really cared about this guy. I cared about this guy so much, man.
What you end up with is not just a happy customer. You end up with an extremely happy customer who then gives reviews, who then tells all of his friends, family, neighbors, and otherwise, hey, I got my building from Eric. He's a great guy. He told me the truth. I did pay a little bit more, but I got exactly what I asked for and then some. I got a permitted building. I got it up in a quick amount of time, and it wasn't any more or any less than we agreed to. It was the exact penny that I paid. And, speaking of that, I want to give a quick shout out to the guys at J Money. If you're struggling with finding the financing, contact the team at J Money. You can get upfront payments, not just as a dealer, but as a manufacturer. If you're selling inside, those guys can help you get deals across the table when the customers are struggling with funds. I know that RTO is popular. We use RTO here, but I can tell you the guys at J Money know exactly what they're doing. I also want to give a quick shout out to our newest sponsor on the Steel Kings podcast, and that is the team over at VersaBend. So VersaBend is a product from Cold Spring Enterprises. You guys just saw our episode with Wendell. Because you're in the steel game and you're not using one, you're missing out. The beast bends bows in 3 moves flat. Handles multiple tubing sizes and switches between them in seconds with no tools and no hassles. Right now, the tool is $19,500, average shipping price around $600, and there's no tax on the equipment if you're out of state and they're in South Carolina. Get ahead of the curve. Visit csecarport.supply or call 864-446-3645. And seriously, tell Wendell the Steel Kings put you on to him because he will appreciate it.
Introducing Shed Hub, your ultimate shed marketplace. Are you in the shed business and looking to connect with more buyers? Look no farther than ShedHub. ShedHub is a game-changing, two-sided marketplace that brings shed sellers and buyers together in one easy-to-use platform. Think of it as the Amazon of sheds. ShedHub isn't just any ordinary marketplace. It's a powerhouse that ranks on the first page of Google's search results in 91% of U.S. cities. With over 1.2 million impressions on our website last month alone, ShedHub is where you want to be to showcase your sheds to a wider audience. And here's the best part. For a limited time, you can join our exclusive Next 500 plan for just $39 per month. Simply head over to geek.shedhub.com to sign up and start attracting more shoppers to your shed listings. As the Shed Geek, I am here to endorse ShedHub and invite you to join me on this journey to boost your shed business. Whether you're struggling with website visibility or simply want more eyes on your product, ShedHub has got you covered. Don't miss out on this opportunity to supercharge your shed sales. Visit geek.shedhub.com today and make your mark in the shed industry with ShedHub.
I wanted to catch up.
Let me
I wanted to catch up a little bit for you. No, keep going, brother.
He sent me the quote, and I don't normally ask for quotes. There was some red flags. The guy sent me the quote. I read it and I said, if you want the 14 tall, I'll sell it to you for $17K, but keep in mind, and it says 17.6 on the page. I said, I'll do $17K. XYZ company and me are selling you the same building, same company, same installers. FYI, they are not going to tell you that, but I'm telling you. And he said, how are they able to do the roll-up door? And then I had Michelle check. I said, I just called XYZ. They do not offer a 16 by 10 roll-up door. So then I was like, why would they tell this guy that they can do something they can't? And so it made me think that they just wanted the money. I said, can you find out who they're selling manufacturer-wise for XYZ company? Apparently they cannot do a 16 by 10. I'm wondering about them. I said, I want to earn your business. I will care about it more. And he said, he won't tell me the manufacturer until I make the down payment. And I said, wow, that's insane. You obviously want to verify. I'm curious for multiple reasons, but now I'm like, why would you hide that information? LOL. I'm on the phone with the other owner. We're trying to figure this out. That's you, Jared. I said, I can't figure out, unfortunately. I think it's bad business to not share who it's installing the building. I'm transparent about it. I could care less if you buy the building from me, but you should not buy it from them. Is it generic plan building stamped by engineer? And I said, in all cases, yes. He says, that matters. And I said, at worst, this company is scamming you. At best, they're being deceptive.
Yeah.
They have good reviews, so I don't want to say too negative. I love the industry, so I want to stay positive. This is me saying this. I'm saying this to him. I want to stay positive. I love the industry. Under the customer info, it says 24 by 50 by 12, but in the line items, it says they don't even have prices anyways. It shows a 26 by 32 by 14, which is not the same. It's not the same building. And so anyway, let me call. Yeah. So I'm getting
I think,
yeah.
I mean,
I haven't told the point.
I haven't told you about this, Eric. It just literally popped into my mind. So, we're trying all kinds of avenues on advertising. So this is all, again, we want to circle back to the main topic, which was steel tariffs, how to compete.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, bro. It's I want to talk about stuff like this because firsthand experience is what I want to share and what we should want to share. I can tell you this. We work on Meta, Google, all the advertising platforms. We've tried a little bit of everything. One thing we tried recently, and I haven't shared this with Eric, so I'm excited to see his reaction to this. So we recently set up TikTok, and Eric and I have both been kind of uber opposed to TikTok. It's not something that either of us use as a social media platform. It just kind of, for whatever reason, just hasn't suited our fancy. We're more Facebook guys. I think maybe it's because of our age or whatever. But we set up TikTok. We have a guy in our lives, one of our project managers who is really aggressive on social media, super nice guy. Chris, I got to give you a quick shout out, brother. I know you love podcasts. So hopefully you're listening. But I can tell you this, he really got me motivated about TikTok. We set up TikTok shop. We set up, did a couple of paid ads and things, got some good traction, got a couple of leads. It was pretty solid. But when you set up TikTok shop, just tools of the trade, Set up TikTok shop. They can buy from TikTok shop. They can buy and pay on TikTok shop. So we get a call in the shop, and the customer's like, yeah, I was reading your post on TikTok. And he's like, yeah, I paid for the building. And like, I just wanted to get some info. And I'm like, brother, I don't have a clue what you're talking about.
How
So I
much
get
money did he give us?
like $4,600.
He paid it over the internet?
Yeah, with Apple Pay. Didn't call, didn't talk to nobody.
Pro tip,
So,
get a TikTok account.
Well, let me share this before you just run out and get a TikTok shop. You got to make sure that the customers are reading.
I am not going to do it.
So I personally listed the building. I gave him a pretty good discount on it. I think it was a $30K building. It was one of our dark nights. And the customer didn't read the description all the way. And he said, I didn't realize that the building was going to be $30K. And he's like, I'm a contractor. I'm in the Louisiana area. What can you do for me? I said, brother, I don't have your money. I said, as far as I'm concerned, you can call your credit card company and cancel the transaction because TikTok's wanting to take like a really high percentage off that payment anyway. I hadn't set up. Now listen, this is the crazy part. Had not set up purchases, had not set up a bank account, had not set up nothing. And this guy had like almost $5,000 of his personal money inside TikTok, and TikTok didn't even notify me. Now I'm just some guy in an office. I love helping customers. I called the customer. I said, look, I'm going to cancel the order here on TikTok. I don't have your money. TikTok has your money. But I got to talking to the customer. Customer's a contractor, does concrete, does all kinds of stuff in the Louisiana area. He's part of a conglomerate that services like 12 different locations. They do like nationwide work. I just got to talking to him. I said, brother, stay in contact with me. I shot him a text. He said, I'll let you know as soon as I get the money back. But he wants leads on concrete. So he and I are going to work together on building projects in his area to see if we can't connect customers with concrete. And he's going to end up buying a building from me. We're just going to work it out a little bit differently, probably get him one of our pole barn kits. And just a super nice guy. But I can tell you, we saw the flashing lights and everything of TikTok and thought, man, this is going to be awesome. You can create yourself a customer service nightmare in a real hurry. The guy was super nice and we were on top of it. But man, I'm telling you, you got to be mindful of what. Yeah, you got to be mindful of what you're doing out there, because I can tell you, it's not always going to be rose-colored glass. I can promise you. Eric, I want to hear your opinion on that. I mean, I know what you're thinking. Man, we should list a bunch of buildings on TikTok. We'll get a bunch of orders. But I will tell you this. Is it not crazy that a company would take payment and I've not even authorized them to do that? It was supposed to be a lead gen.
Where did the money go?
It was in a holdings account with TikTok.
Shame on TikTok.
Dude, crazy. I didn't notify me, didn't email me.
But full disclosure, I'm going to check out TikTok now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for sure. Like,
at least call us and buy now.
We're not getting off TikTok.
Did the guy think he was buying a building for $4,600?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Swiped his Apple Pay.
That's like a 30 freaking wide building.
Swiped his car, or tapped his Apple Pay and was on it. And like, I was asking him, I said, man, do you really make a habit of doing this? He's like, I just thought it was a deal that was too good to be true. And I said, brother, it's a deal that's too good to be true. I can't sell you that building for $4K. I said, that's what I'm going to make on it. I said, that's what I'm.
I think you can get a Temu metal building for $4,600.
Yeah. I mean, you can get a metal building, but it's going to be like a rickety, it's going to be something you put together. Yeah. Going to be some kind of put it together on your own kind of a kit you get from a big box store or something. I don't know. I can't stress to you guys enough, being on top of things in your business right now with everything going on, man. People are looking. They're looking for our product. People still want and need metal buildings. They still need
what's the size
buildings.
Of it?
It was a dark night, 30 by 50 by 12.
Oh, 30. Okay.
30 by 50 by 12, lean-to. He's going to buy a pole barn kit.
I've always been fascinated that people are getting... Carvana, you just buy a car online. You don't even test drive it. They literally come drop it off. It's insane, because I think mechanically speaking, I would much rather buy something that doesn't require constant attention like a car. I mean, unless you just trust it. Maybe you got Carfax and maybe it's, But it's fascinating to me how people buy big items from the couch these days, and how people trust it, or they want to trust it. So,
well, with cars, with anything really, you can put a return policy on. I think, Carvana, a lot of the online dealers, they'll do like a 3-day return policy, something like that. But like when you get this building, folks, it's there. Like I can assure you, it goes into the ground, whether it's an auger anchor, whether it's concrete, whatever it is, that building's there to stay. And it's not meant to be picked back up and taken back away. And I can tell you, there's not a whole lot of returns in the metal building world. I mean, we've had a couple, probably, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 that I can recall where customers didn't pay their bills and their buildings were taken away, and I got a phone call. And I mean, those calls are funny because, customers will call and they'll say, "Hey, my roll-up door isn't working," or "Hey, my man door isn't working," or whatever. Okay, well, how's everything else? Building's fine other than that. Well, I'm also getting calls from the manufacturer that this same person hasn't paid their bill. So I have to tell the customer, look, the warranty is only applied once the building's paid for. You you can't get a warranty on something that you haven't paid for. Like, come on. Like,
yeah, I know, man.
If you don't pay for it, chances are they're going to take it away. Chances are they're going to show right back up, load it right back up, and they're going to drive your building back to where it came from. Because at the end of the day, nothing's free, Eric. Nothing at all is free.
And a big metal building doesn't cost $4,600.
That is correct. So, I was thinking, bro, for about $4,600, I can send you like a scale model of the Dark Knight.
The Lego version.
I can send you like a really cool version of the Dark Knight that's about a 30-inch by 50-inch by 12-inch tall metal building scale. And he understood, and he was a nice guy. Like I said, I made a good connection. The guy was super nice. He's going to leave us a review, just kind of outlining his experience and thanking us for our help. And again, like, there are so many companies out there. If you happen to be a customer and you come across our podcast, we'd love to sell you a metal building. There are lots and lots and lots of reputable metal building dealers out there. Chances are there's one in your local community, but give us a call. We'll help you on every aspect of it. And we're not going to just tell you, hey, they suck, they're terrible. We don't do that. We want to work with you. We got a handful of manufacturers that we really trust and enjoy working with. Like I said,
we refrained today. We refrained from name dropping today. So
we don't want to.
We're in it.
That's right. We don't want to be anything more than good stewards for the industry. Metal buildings is a great industry to be in right now. I know with the tariffs and everything, it seems tumultuous. It seems like we are headed off this cliff right now and we need a parachute, right? And, I tend to trust and have faith in what's going on here. And I think it's going to rid us of some problems. I tend to be a little bit more trusting than most folks. I think we just trust the process. At the end of the day, the prices on steel, the prices on buildings probably needed to go up a little bit anyways. I know a lot of the manufacturers that I've been talking to are feeling the squeeze. They're feeling the squeeze of percentages. When you talk about if there's 100% pie, and a dealer takes 20%, an install crew takes 25%, that doesn't leave a whole lot of meat on the bone for these manufacturers that have payrolls to meet, they have facilities to maintain, they have all kinds of bills and expenses that a small-time dealer, and we're a medium-sized dealer. We do what we do really well, but I mean, their bills super exceed ours. So we have to work alongside those people, because if they decide one day that they don't want to do this anymore, then Eric and I are looking for new partners. That's just all there is to it, because we want to stick with the people that brought us to the dance. Those folks like American Steel, we can't give enough love to those guys. If you are in need of a metal building supplier, contact the team at American Steel. They will get you what you need. They service almost all the United States. We've got a lot of other partners, Reliable Metal Buildings. Love those guys too. I want to give those two companies a really good shout out, because right now they're keeping us in the game. They're keeping us steady, keeping us on our toes. Bro, I think we're going to wrap this one up, Eric. I think we've touched base on the steel tariffs. We've given a little bit of a lowdown on what we're doing. You got anything else before we finish up this episode, brother?
I think that's a good stopping point. My final words are is definitely if you're a customer, um, there's going to be an increase in spam and scam now because people are going to be gripping tight to trying to keep up with sales because prices are going up. So just make
Yep.
sure you do your due diligence. And if you're a dealer, you better be transparent and because something else is coming your way. So just we want the industry to survive. So
That's right.
that's all I
Get
got.
out in your communities, be a good neighbor, be a good friend, be a good protege, be a good whatever it is that you do, big brother, big sister, brother, sister, mom, dad, whatever you're doing, get out in your community. I want to give one last shout out to our friends over at Cold Spring Enterprises, the industry pros behind
Wendell.
the VersaBend, the most efficient square tubing bender on the market. If you're still using a 5-bend method to shape bows, you're wasting time. The VersaBend makes a complete bow in just 3 bends. That's right, faster bends, less downtime, and precision every time. Built to handle 2-inch, 2.5, 2.25 square tubing plus 2x3 rectangular tubing and 12 and 14 gauge. The VersaBend is made for real builders doing real work. Switching sizes, tool-free and done in seconds. Adjust angles with the built-in stops and center marks to hit that perfect roof pitch every time. If you want one, the VersaBend's $19,500. If you're outside South Carolina, there's no sales tax. Average shipping's around $600. Give the team over at Cold Spring Enterprises a call. Check out our friends at J Money for all your financing needs. We will be back at you next week with another episode of the Steel Kings podcast. I am Jared. He is Eric. We are the Steel Kings. And for this week, we're out. Peace out, guys. Have a great week. All right.
Peace.
Talk to you later.
Before you go, the J Money team wants to thank you for listening to today's Steel Kings podcast. Remember, money is king. If you need a financing option on your portable wood sheds or steel buildings, we are here to help. Just check out jmoneyllc.com for more information. Don't forget to catch the next episode. We'll still be here. Have a great day.